Why are you scared of me?
What? I never wanted to be your mother.
Why?
I was scared. I didn't feel like a mother. But she pressured me.
Then why did you have me?
It wasn't my fault. I tried to stop it.
How?
I tried to have a miscarriage.
How?
However I could. I did everything they told me not to do, but it didn't work. I'm happy it didn't work.
You tried to kill me.
Stop.
What is going on, movie lovers, and welcome back to 5 on It. On today's episode, we are reviewing a film that I've honestly kind of been waiting to review because on first watch, I really wasn't messing with it. And I'll let you know how I'm feeling it after on my second go around. But on today's episode, we are reviewing Hereditary. But before we dive any further, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment. Is Hereditary one of your favorite horror movies of the 21st century? I know what it is to a lot of people. But Sir Fraser, tell the people about Hereditary.
So this is the directorial debut of Ari Aster. It's also written by the auteur, Ari Aster. It stars Toni, Collette, Alex Wolff, Amelia Shapiro, and Dowd, and Gabriel Byrne. This is a 24 joint. This movie is held in pretty high esteem by a lot of people. I know it's regarded as one of the best. It definitely surfaces in the list of some of the best 20, best horror movies of this century. This is for me personally my favorite of Ari's work. I kind of struggled with getting into Midsommar.
I'm not a fan of that one.
I've only seen it once. I didn't see Beau is Afraid or Eddington, but I've heard really great things about Eddington.
I heard Eddington was actually pretty solid.
But I guess, starting with this movie, I think this movie is very effective. This movie it's called Hereditary. And over the course of this movie, we understand why. But this movie easily could have been called Meet the Grahams. Because this movie, dude, the way that we are uncomfortably situated in this family's day-to-day life, and along like a fly on the wall as they're grieving all the losses that just befell this unfortunate, cursed family, and we learn this curse on this family is hereditary. It was something that impacted Annie's family. I think this movie does a really effective job early on at kind of setting some of the, setting the table in terms of just understanding the mysterious mother, Annie's mother. I can't remember her name right now. Is it Ellen?
Yeah.
And, she's talking, at the funeral where she's speaking about her mom and just talking about her being a very mysterious, very private person, and, seeing all these people that she had never, known before, just seeing them show up. Like the whole vibe of that funeral home is very kind of eerie. Like the people that are watching Charlie as she's like going up to the casket. Yeah.
Well, you see the one dude that's like kind of smiling at her.
Yeah.
I was like, that was the dude. I think towards the end, like that's you can see him in the closet, and I'm like, is that dude butt naked? I was like, oh Jesus! But like you mentioned, how it affects the whole family. Quick to mention that. Toni Collette is honestly kind of carrying this movie on her damn back. I'm surprised that she didn't really even get a nomination. Yeah, not even a nomination. Not saying she should have won or anything, but I thought she did a well enough job, especially like delivering her monologue in the anonymous class, or even the dinner scene. We can get to that later though if you want. But she mentions in that class or in that little meeting, whatever, in that class, that like her brother also committed suicide because he felt that his mom was trying to put like people in him. And so like once like you start unraveling things or what they're doing with like the demon Paimon and stuff like that, and like it needs a male host, then you start thinking like, oh yeah, the brother wasn't tripping. That's probably that seems like exactly what they were trying to do, because he was a male and they were looking for a male host. So
even Annie's mother, like, who starved himself to death, like just getting understanding of the family history, and which also oddly enough it kind of contributes to some doubt around Annie as a reliable narrator, because even the way that her husband Peter reacts to her at times, where she is almost manic when she's convinced that when she's building the replica of the death of her daughter Charlie, or
so creepy.
when she was waking everybody up in the middle of the night to do the seance, and she's scaring their son Peter. Like there's sorry, not Peter, Steve the husband. My mistake.
Well, she scared them both.
Yeah, but Steve is trying to. I feel so bad for Steve, because Steve is really trying to keep the peace and really keep his family together at moments, despite all of this just terrible loss that this family is suffering through. And he almost is kind of like us. Like he doesn't share blood with them, right? Mm-hmm. He is kind of witnessing his family just kind of fall apart, and like us. And he's pretty neutral. Mm-hmm. He seems like a decent person, and his ending is the most tragic of all.
yeah, exactly. What was I going to say? I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit, but because I don't want to transition to like some of my negatives, but. Well, like I can't hate, man. I am gonna hate a little bit, though. Like, because although I will give Toni Collette her flowers that she's giving like her all in this performance, and Gabriel is doing his thing as Steve. I am just really not fucking with the son too much. Like some of his performance for the most part, No, just in this, like, just in this role, not him as a total actor, and like in any of his other. Yeah, just because like, especially when maybe it's mainly when we get to like the crying scenes, I'm just like, dude, come on, you got to start like. I get that there's like some tragedy going, but like also it's like you're supposed to be a little bit older. Like this dude's just breaking down just so much, where like it was just annoying me a little bit too much. Maybe I'm just a little heartless in that aspect, but like he was just kind of starting to annoy me a little bit. Mm-hmm. But all in all, like the performances was okay. Well,
I mean, this movie, dude, it opens up right very early in the movie. We're kind of seeing the models that Annie is making. And one of the notes that I had is the dollhouses and these miniatures really represent a metaphor for the Grahams. And the Graham's predicament that they're in, right?
Yeah.
Because they're essentially throughout this movie, it's revealed, and this is why this movie kind of functions a little bit as a mystery. But they're essentially dolls manipulated by these malevolent forces that are preying on their family.
Yeah.
One of the things that I didn't really appreciate the first time. This is my second time watching this movie. I remember seeing it in the theater, and there's some moments in this movie. I'm reluctant to say that it's a horror that doesn't really get me. This isn't typically my genre, but that said, this movie has some really it does have some really intense moments. Like when Charlie is beheaded as Peter is driving her back to the hospital because she's consumed walnuts, and the way that they kind of feed us that earlier on when she snacked on the chocolate, the breadcrumbing of that. Also, the fact that tree post had that symbol on it as well.
Well, they do a good job of showing like that post like too like on the like
on the drive. Yeah, man. When she is beheaded and the way that he doesn't even look, that whole scene is so traumatic as hell.
I will because
it's so well. It's just like it's just you're just in shock. Like I can't believe this happened.
Yeah, I will say that like my score will reflect it. I'm still not a huge fan of this movie, but there are some moments where it definitely will just completely utterly shock you, and that scene in that sequence, that is like a complete shocker too, especially like when you first watch it. And also like to mention though, like they do a good job of like kind of leaving you another Easter egg when they mention at the funeral that like when she's eating the candy bar and they come up to her like, that doesn't have nuts in it, does it? Because we don't have the EpiPen. Which also kind of things like, Jesus, you're not bringing the EpiPen when you should have that on you 24/7 if you really need it.
You would think, right?
Yeah, you would think, and especially if you're going to send your daughter off and your kid and your son off to like some sort of little party, you're guessing, like why would you not have the EpiPen? But they do a good job of showing like that's like just a foreshadowing of things to come. But when that moment happens and just the sound, like the score on that, I mean, this is not part of the score. I mean, it's a part of the sound editing, but like the thud you hear and everything, dude. They don't even need to show really like the body or anything like that.
Oh no, I mean I love that they didn't because when he gets home, right, he is just in shock. But rewatching it, just like the first one, I was like, yo, this is your reaction? You just go to bed,
dude? Well, because
but I mean, like again, like I can only imagine the shock of that happening and what it does to a person, especially a teenager. I mean, he's a kid still.
Yeah.
You know, but when he goes to bed and we hear the mom wake up, go into the car, you see and hear her crying. And then we cut to Charlie's head and the ants over it. Another foreshadowing, but I was like, yo.
Dude, well, like from like you just see like I said another nod to her performance, like how she's just wailing and like obviously Steve is just holding her and she's just I want to die and everything. Then it cuts to Peter just standing outside the door and everything. It's just like, God, you just really feel for her. But also just going back to what Peter's reaction to like that happening to it also leads to the dinner sequence as well. It's like when he came in the house, I honestly thought like the parents were going to be asleep and maybe that's why he ended up going to his room. But then you start hearing them talking and then so you're like, okay, well the parents are awake. You would think that like maybe he would go. I mean, there's no, I guess, great way to bring that up, I suppose. But like I said, it mentions to the dinner scene when she's just like takes some responsibility for it, which also, like, he kind of had a little zinger of his own. He kind of came back with like, well, what about you? She shouldn't even have been at that party. She didn't even want to go and things like that. So like them going like having their back and forth as well. Like there were some scenes in this movie that are definitely like some huge highlights and it's like some huge bangers too.
Yeah, and I mean for me that was another highlight. I think the acting by everyone in that moment was so raw and real. Yeah, I couldn't help but praise that scene because again, you see. There's already a divide between Annie and Peter. We learn that when Annie goes to the support group, right? Isn't that the scene where we learn about her and her son when she spills like the paint thinner?
Yeah.
Right. That was okay.
Yeah.
So there's that, right? And then the death of Charlie, and
actually
that really,
I can't remember if she actually said that in the group or said that to Joan. Now that we're talking about it,
I remember she confided. Okay, because then Joan was in the support group.
Yeah, she wasn't, but like I'm not sure if that was just a one-on-one thing or if that was in the group thing. Now I'm thinking
when
about it.
she reveals that, when she reveals that, that's like we get the sense. Okay, this is already an estranged relationship, and then Charlie dies, and the resentment and blame that she really feels towards
Peter.
That I mean, like. It's baked into their scenes together.
Well, even in the support group, she's like the way she even phrases this. She says like her daughter was killed, not like she died or passed away. I think that maybe I'm looking a little too deep into it, but like just the way like she just describes how she died, that she was killed, or like that kind of makes like seems like she was murdered or something. So it's like to me like the way she phrases it, she's putting that blame on her son, whether subconsciously or not, but. She pretty much is. That's why they have like that resentment towards each other, and it goes back to the whole paint thinner scenes, or not the scene, but like how she mentions that too.
Well, then it's even deeper than that, right? Because there's that scene where she tells him that she never wanted him. She tried to get rid of him. That was
a heartbreaking scene, man. When like when I forget how he phrased it, but it's just like, why are you trying to kill me, or like something like, and then she's like, I tried that you had all these miscarriages and I tried it in every way, but you still can't. It's like, damn, girl, that
turned out to be the dream sequence.
Yeah, that wasn't.
That was a dream, but like you feel like, right? Because I thought that because she wakes up, because remember after she tells him like there's like a bright flame that appears.
No, you're
and
right.
Then she wakes up in the bed, and that's when she does the seance. But like clearly, like that's. Like,
but if she obviously has
that,
some,
like it makes. I mean,
and who's to say that wasn't actually that's not real?
That she didn't.
Now, obviously, that's a dream, but obviously, like, what if that actually did
yeah.
happen? Maybe she did try to have miscarriages, and he still just came.
Well, because one of the things that's interesting about like just her mom, Ellen, when she is learning, as she's learning more about her, whether it's Joan having the mat that her mom had, like that was one of the things that tipped her off.
She didn't catch it the first go around though.
Yeah, no, she did not. But when she is looking through her books, and this is earlier in the movie, and she sees like her grandmother in the corner. That shit was eerie. There was a couple scenes like that that were eerie, but as we're learning more, like the puzzle pieces of learning about her grandmother, about the grandmother, and her involvement in this like this cult, her being kind of like the leader of this. We're learning more about Paimon, yeah. So one of the things that I didn't realize or didn't really catch on to the first viewing of this movie, but I did rewatching it and kind of doing like more of a deep dive into this, is like because Paimon wants to be in a male host, because he is a male
entity.
There's I guess the part of the story, like the reading of the story, is that Charlie was always Paimon. She wasn't just acting odd or weird because of she was autistic. No, this was actually Paimon, and there's that scene right where we're learning more about Ellen from Annie, and she's talking about, I would not let her near my son. I had a daughter, so I gave her to my mom, and she sinked her claws in.
Yeah.
And there's that picture that they show us. I think it's on like a fridge of her nursing, the grandmother nursing Charlie, and so like she was like prepped and basically allowed Paimon to inhabit Charlie as a temporary vessel to get ultimately with their sights on Peter.
Well, that actually starts to makes more sense.
I didn't pick that up on the first watching.
Well, because that still couldn't. I mean, I'm glad we were kind of obviously discussing it, because that kind of confused me. Like towards the end, like obviously I understood like they're trying to bring back Paimon and whatnot, and it needs a male host. But like when she starts to refer him as to Charlie, and she's like, Charlie, but you're now Paimon, blah blah blah. And she puts the crown on his head and everything. I was like, wait, what the? I was like, why is she referring to him as Charlie? So, and then they talked about the unholy trinity and whatnot, and that was supposed to be the daughter, and then Annie and Ellen.
Yeah, the three sacrifices.
Yeah, exactly. And they're up there with their fucking, and it's supposed to be a head sacrifice, I suppose, when they're up there with their fucking heads chopped off.
Bro, that shit was so unsettling.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something that was interesting. And another clue that kind of tipped me off to that is because when Annie does the seance, when she's with Peter and Steve, when the voice takes over, that's the actual Charlie. The soul that was pushed out of her body for Paimon to take advantage of. Because you can tell that's a very youthful voice. And it did not sound like Charlie when she was alive.
Yeah.
That Charlie sounded
a little different.
off.
Yeah.
Whereas when Annie is possessed by Charlie during that seance, it's by her actual daughter.
Yeah.
That's who she really was. That was her actual spirit.
It meant another detail too that like I caught. I mean, I had to pause it too, but like when she opens the book and you start reading about Paimon, it mentions that it pretty much requires 2 rituals, and so I was like, oh, so that's why like when Joan does the ritual, she's not trying to talk to fucking whatever her son was, Lewis or whoever it was. It's like she wasn't trying to contact. She just has. It seems like she's just doing the first ritual of what they have to do, and then she's expected. That's why she gives it. She's going to her good nature of her losing the daughter, so she knows that Ellen's gonna not Ellen, but Annie's gonna go home and do the second seance. And so when she does, that's why it starts following the dude around. At school, you see that little light starting moving around.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was a cool effect.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You see it start float around and everything. That's when he starts bashing his fucking head against the desk and all that type of shit.
That was a. I didn't like what that scene in the movie was like hard to watch. It was hard to rewatch that scene. But yeah, like the theme of headless, like the headless sacrifice. You see, like when Charlie, when she goes and cuts the head off of that bird. Yeah, and then that the woman from the cult is out there waving at her. I'm like, yo, this is. And then, dude, with Peter, right, where he's out eating, and Joan is across the street casting the spell to cast Peter's soul out of his body.
Which, hold up,
that was
another, but like. I was like, oh, that's Joan.
Yeah.
But then she's screaming. But I'm like, and he starts looking around too, which kind of threw me off. I was like, nobody else is hearing this. She is definitely not like a pigment.
My name.
I know, but she's not like it's. But like all of those other people, I figured was just obviously part of just their imagination. They're seeing ghosts and shit like that. But like. I was like, Joan, isn't she supposed to be real? Like, nobody else is seeing this crazy bitch just shouting over there? Which I was like, it is a very eerie scene, but also kind of made me wonder, like, nobody else is seeing this shit.
I think for me, man, damn, that joy hit.
Got him gone, man.
After Steve dies, man, which was just, I felt so bad. I told you, man. I felt the worst for him because he is. I mean, he's like, I married into this bullshit,
dude. But then also that leaves
he's literally fighting to keep his family together.
Pretty much,
and he's getting burned alive,
bad quickly. Which also kind of leads to okay, I get it that like when she threw it in, that she caught on fire. But how did he catch on fire though? That also just, I mean, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go. Yeah, I'll just go with it. But they should have just had him throw it in. That could have just been an easy little like he was just like he's just nonchalant like woman stop messing with this bullshit or whatever. Like he's not gonna stay exactly like that. But if they would have just had him chuck it in, then I think that could have just like shored things up a little bit for me personally.
Well, I think it was also interesting that they made him a psychiatrist because I think at that point he had reached his breaking point. I mean, that's after he picked up Peter after, the whole getting his nose broken, right? That whole scene. And he breaks down in the car. And so he has reached his breaking point. And, as somebody who is a psychiatrist, he is seeing his wife just unravel from his POV. And he's not willing to indulge her anymore in these delusions that he's convinced that she's having. And so that's when she's, I'll do it, throws it in. Yeah. And almost immediately, like her acting, man, her visual expressions, whether it's the table scene when she hits him with the "I am your mother," that scene, or when she's witnessing Steve get burned alive, and she gets possessed immediately after that, and just the change up across her face. Yeah. She absolutely is the standout actor in this movie.
For sure.
It is a disappointment that she didn't get recognized.
Dude, even like I said, I think this is our second time watching it each since probably it first came out. But that is just one thing that just stands out as this movie is her performance. But I would say too, from although you hate seeing Steve go, I would say from that point on, like the movie ratcheted the horror for me, because like although people will call this a horror movie, elevated horror, whatever you want to call it, to me like it didn't really stand out as like it horrified me and everything like that. But it was just more like kind of creepy and eerie, like unraveling a mystery. Like it felt,
thriller,
it felt more thriller, definitely mystery to it than horror. But I will say from like when Steve dies, and then you're getting the shots from when Peter wakes up and she's just in the corner and just crawling away and stuff.
Man,
and then
creepy.
her chopping her, or not chopping, but her sewing her own head off and everything. Like
the piano wire.
And then you see the naked people rolling around, man. Dude, like it ratchets up the horror like once Steve dies, and so that is a huge highlight of that movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, with that scene where he goes down there and he's staring at, he sees his father, and he knows that his mom did it, and we see her behind him up on the wall, and then he turns and he sees this naked motherfucker.
Yeah,
and when Annie charges after him out of the corner, that was a good scare.
I will say, yeah, that's a point I made too.
That was a good jump scare. And when he runs up to the attic and pulls up the ladder, and we see her banging her head on the ceiling, that was another really cool shot. Just added to that, and the actual visuals of seeing her cut her head off. I remember seeing that movie. I was like, "Yo, what in the hell is going on?" Like, it was just so. That was another just shocking scene.
Yeah. You see her floating up into the treehouse too.
God, man. Right after, Peter jumps out and basically like plummets to his death, and then like the Paimon like takes over the body.
He awakens.
Yeah, and the way that it ends. This is a bleak movie. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, this is a very bleak movie. This is not a happy ending.
No, not at all.
This, but very well might be the end of the world. You know what I mean? Like,
which also
call the Ghostbusters.
Which kind of leads to a little bit of a negative too, where I'm just kind of like, why would she even like? I get it, she's like a leader of this cult, but it's like, damn, why would she do this to her family like that?
Well, I mean, one of the great early clues is that note that Annie finds in her mom's book, the very, very beginning before Charlie dies. And she talks about, I'm sorry I've been so secretive. Stay strong. Like, this will be, our sacrifice will be worth it for everything that it brings.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, this is an ominous note.
I know. It's like, so you're going to kill the family and re-resurrect them for Paimon?
Well, I mean, yeah. And in retrospect, this is what she was like. I basically mortgaged my family, my family's future.
Yeah. I guess maybe
in with the devil.
Maybe they're living the lava luxury in hell with Paimon and the other 7 demons, because I think they said he's king of one of the 8.
One of the 8,
yeah. So maybe the other 7
Paimon's
down
on
there.
Earth.
Yeah, Paimon's on Earth, kicking it, man.
He's in high school.
Man, quick thing I will say too, a highlight is a thing that they only did twice in the movie was like the transition to at the beginning, how it goes, like it starts at like just a dollhouse, and then like the camera zooms in, and then goes into like the actors playing. Dude, I was like, that's a banger transition. And then they did it again later in the movie, where I think it started in the it was like, because it looked like you saw I want to say the grandma like in like the doorway, where it looked like maybe Annie was dreaming, but then like it starts zooming out, and then it shows like it's just like part of the miniature and everything. I was like, man, those are some banger transitions. So yeah. I definitely want to give it some flowers on that.
No, that's a great call out. I remember thinking that too. Also, like how one of the earliest shots of that movie is of the treehouse, and that's where the movie ends. I love movies that do that kind of full circle, kind of close that loop.
Well, every time Peter woke up, he kept looking at that treehouse. It was like the first thing you see. So that was like, I guess, the last thing he was in.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to pivot to scores?
I'm down. I'll start it out, since was like the one that chose this, and I was a little bit hesitant to. Well, I was looking forward to it, but I obviously wasn't a huge fan of it, and I'm still not a huge fan of it. But I will give it a solid 3.5. just because Toni Collette's performance is fantastic. I can't take that away from her. And they do enough good things in this movie to keep me entertained and like to keep that mystery kind of unraveling of like what is happening with this family, what's going on. And like I said, even though like I got like the movie is a little bit on the boring side for me, but it lures me back in with her performance and some of like the dinner scene or when she's in the group meeting and she's like explaining her history and whatnot. They do enough good things to keep me entertained. So when I start losing a little bit of interest, I'm pulled back in. But I just don't think I think it's just miscategorized too as well. Maybe not a horror movie, but maybe some sort of like mystery thriller. That's probably where I would that's where I would place it. But 3.5 for me. So it's not a horrible movie, but it's something I probably just won't go back to.
You know, that's a good point. I agree with you about the categorization of this movie. I mean, it's another kind of issue with a movie we reviewed recently. Silence of the Lambs, check out that review. But also even Get Out. I think those movies were kind of categorized by some as horror, and I think those movies are really effective, like psychological thrillers.
Yeah.
This movie has a really strong mystery element that works for me, keeps me engaged throughout this movie, even on a rewatch. And I think this movie does reward a rewatch. I agree with you. It's not a movie that I will go back to very often, but something that I've kind of been wrestling with a little bit more in my mind is like just kind of a movie can be great and often is great in some situations, but it's not a movie that I will go back to. So I'm trying to sometimes like factor that in, like how much, factor that in, and sometimes kind of dial that back a little bit in terms of my appraisal of a movie. And I would say that I was thinking about that in relationship to this movie. I would say for me, this is a 4. I don't typically gravitate towards like psychological thrillers or even I don't really gravitate so much to like the supernatural kind of movies. I do like some like The Ring. We reviewed Ju-on. We actually reviewed both of those movies. So I mean, it can and does work for me sometimes, but it's not. I'm similar to you. I like the slashers. I do appreciate a good ghost movie sometimes, but I think I'm more of a slasher guy, or even like sci-fi horror.
And I was going to say, like, because even like a movie like
Horizon,
or The Thing.
The Thing, of course.
Because like, if you want to talk about horror, it's like, but that's not even like you said, like a slasher. It's more like sci-fi. Even like a mystery too. You could throw that in there as well because you're trying to figure out who's who. But I think that's where this movie maybe is just because you're going into it thinking like one thing, like horror, like I'm going to see like some shocking ass shit, but nothing really gets shocking until like the very end, until like Steve dies and then she's doing the crawl on the wall. Like you're just getting like very good acting from Toni Collette and just like some eerie moments and just like a mystery of like what's going on with this woman and what's going on with this family. But when like the horror doesn't really kick in for me until like the third act, until Steve dies.
Well, this movie is so much. Some of it should revolve. I mean, this movie is like a lot of this functions like a family drama. Especially the grief scenes where we have that really the tense moment over dinner between Annie and Peter. So I think that also, I'm trying to think, nothing's coming to mind right now when I think about a kind of a quote unquote like psychological or supernatural kind of horror where you're really ingrained in this family's life and we see them just like disintegrating from within, in terms of the way that they, the tension between the mom and the son, and then these outside forces. I mean, I do really enjoy this movie. It's not a great horror movie for me. It's very effective. I like what it does, but I'm trying to think like when I think about like some of the recent like horror movies. Is anything really? I mean, I'm not going to compare it. I mean, I really liked Late Night with the Devil, but it's not in this league. I won't compare them.
Obviously, A Weapons was fantastic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I love Black Phone 2 as well. That made my best of the list as well. But damn, I just kind of had it at the top of my head and just literally just popped out for another horror movie. But like I would say like the horror movies recently like have been like on the uptick though.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I just don't think with Hereditary, I just don't know if I have to just place it in that realm. Well, you know, a fun movie though, what I just watched recently was Primate. That's that just popped up on horror movies.
That just dropped out. It dropped last year, right?
That no, it was 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, it just came on streaming like not too long ago on Paramount Plus.
Mm-hmm.
That movie talked about horror. Like it's just like a monkey that contracts rabies and then they're locked in the home with them. Dude, just the kills in that movie, you're just like, God damn, that's what I need with horror. I need to be left with some goddamn moments.
Some bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you definitely get bodies in this, to be fair, but
yeah, but like I said, it's just like I kind of want that a little bit sprinkled throughout the movie in the first act and the second act, not just the third act.
No, I definitely get that. Well, man, you got anything on your radar?
Man, well, actually, well, Primate right now, I suppose, just since I was just talking about that. But any other movies? I did go see the new Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh.
I saw that while I was in Hawaii. That was actually, it wasn't too bad. It was definitely a fun time. Seeing Yoshi on the screen is always fun. That was like one of my favorite characters growing up. Mm-hmm. But other than that, yeah, Primates, definitely check that out on Paramount Plus. Fun horror movie, crazy monkey with some crazy ass kills. Super Mario Galaxy, check that out if you're a fan of those movies. It's not as good as the first one in my opinion, but it's still a solid watch. What about you, sir?
So man, one that just popped up on my radar is called Exit 8. This is like a mystery thriller. So dig this. It's about a man trapped in an endless sterile subway passageway,
Mm-hmm.
set out to find Exit 8. The rules of his quest are simple. Do not overlook anything out of the ordinary. If you discover an anomaly, turn back immediately. If you don't, carry on. Then leave from Exit 8. But even a single oversight will send him back to the beginning. Will he ever reach his goal and escape this infinite corridor? Sounds kind of interesting.
Sounds good. That's a new movie?
Yeah, just I think it just dropped this month. It's a Japanese flick though, but that's something that popped up. Kind of curious to see what that's about.
For sure.
Yeah, that's kind of what's new right now.
Also, well, I mean, this is in the TV realm, but Invincible, The Boys, Daredevil. Man, we got some banging ass shows out right now.
Do you think Invincible has a shot of cracking your top 5 shows of all time?
Of all time?
It's on mine. You already know.
I suppose it could knock out The Boys, because I would say The Boys is probably the most one that would fluctuate off of my top 5 best of TV shows. It depends, I suppose, how these shows end, too.
How many seasons are The Boys right now? Is it 5?
5, yeah.
And we're in season 4
of Invincible. Which
I think we're going to at least get 2 more. I'm thinking probably going to get, I know damn sure 1 more.
I think they said they wanted to go till 7.
Okay.
So, like, if that's the case, I mean, I've enjoyed all the seasons. Obviously, I feel like they're ramping it up. Mm-hmm. Of course, like, maybe, like, I know some people maybe are not a huge fan of, like, season 2, I've heard might be, like, the weaker of the bunch. Mm-hmm. But, honestly, I went back and watched some of those episodes. I mean, they still are banging. Like, yeah, you can use more Nolan, because Nolan and J.K. Simmons as the voice is so good and everything. But
Alan Alien.
Yeah. But also, like I said, just depends on how things are going. So far, season 4 has been, like, pretty solid for me. Mm-hmm. So it seems how they stick the land with the last 2 episodes and the last few seasons. But it has the potential. But, you know, we'll see.
All right. Well, that is our episode for this week. We'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.